Hey y'all, welcome back to More with Dr. Elly. On today's episode, we dive into our first traditional leadership topic of 2026 that all of you told us that you wanted to hear more about. We sent out a poll in October of 2025 asking you, our community, what are some of the challenges that you're facing in your leadership roles, in your personal development, and what do you want to learn more about that's going to actually help your career and all the growth projects that you might have for yourself. And you told us, and this is exactly what we're here, talking about personal branding as our first traditional leadership topic. So if you're interested in learning more about this over the next couple of weeks, make sure that you subscribe to More with Dr. Elly. Now, one of the things that I always do when I start teaching personal branding to both my undergraduate and my graduate students is I always share a story. And the story starts off like this. I have never worked in a job that I have had to apply for. And I have 16 years of experience under my belt. And I have never worked in a job that I've had to apply for. Now, granted, as y'all know, I first started my own business at 19 years old. But at 21, I was employed in Dallas, Texas as a paralegal. And it is literally a job that landed at my feet because of the relationships that I had and also because of the conversations that I was having about what I wanted to do with my future. And ever since then, y'all, I have never worked in a job that I have had to apply for. So you're probably wondering, so how do you get your professional experiences beyond just running your business? How do you get your professional work? It literally has come out of relationships that I have built over time and also out of the intentionality of positioning my personal brand. So what do we mean by the intentionality of positioning your personal brand? What is a personal brand and what is personal branding? That's the conversation that we're going to be having today. And I want to keep things as simple as possible for all of you so that you understand in this theory, a little bit of this theory, how you can begin to think about personal branding or building your personal brand, because it's really not as complicated as what we often think it is. So what is a personal brand? I want to go ahead and share with y'all right from my notes, because I think it's extremely important for us to use the correct definition so that you understand what it is, so that when you begin to actually start working on your personal branding, you know exactly what you're dealing with. So a personal brand is the reputation that you have with your audience. Really, it is a reputation that you have with your audience. And one of the things that I always say is that everyone has a personal brand. Everybody has a personal brand. It's literally the perception that other people have of you. It's the reputation that you carry. And all of us carry a reputation, whether it's a reputation that we want to carry or not. We all carry a reputation. And the beautiful thing about personal branding, and I'm going to define that in just a second, it is literally giving you the ownership and the power to distinguish what you want that reputation to be. It is the meaning that your name carries. It is the story, expectations, and trust that people associate with you. When people think about who you are, what are the things that they're thinking about? When they think about the impact that you're making, the work that you're doing, the spaces where you are showing up, what is the first thing that comes to their mind? That is your reputation. That is the perception that you've created in the minds of other people. That is your personal brand. The last definition that I'm going to give you, which resonates a lot to my students, to my personal branding clients, and also to me, is as simple as this. Your personal brand is the aroma that you leave behind long after you have left the room. So when you're gone, what is the aroma that lingers and that speaks to who you are as a person? Y'all, that is exactly what your personal brand is. It is your reputation. It is the perception that people have of you based on how you're showing up in spaces. And it is the aroma that you leave behind long after you have left the room. So why does it matter for us to even have a conversation about what personal branding is, or why your personal brand should be something that you intentionally carry? It is because, like I said earlier, everybody has a reputation, whether a professional reputation, a personal reputation, we all have a reputation. And when it comes to your professional life and when it comes to whatever it is that you're wanting to accomplish as a person, as an entrepreneur, as an ambitious woman, you want to make sure that you understand the reputation that is out there about who you are and the kind of perception that you are creating when you show up in spaces. It does not mean that you should become overly obsessed about what people think about you. That's not what it means at all. It means that you should be conscious that how you show up is actually creating a reputation about yourself and leaving a perception behind. And you want to make sure through the personal branding building process that you take ownership of the perception and the reputation that others have of you. And that is what personal branding is. Personal branding is your intentionality to ensure that the perception that others have of you, the reputation that is out there about who you are, is in alignment with what you want it to be. It's ensuring that there's an alignment between perception and how you are showing up, or how you are showing up and the perception that you want to leave behind. That is what the personal branding building process is all about. When I'm working with clients and I explain that personal branding is about intentionality and it's about you being strategic to ensure that however it is that you're showing up is in alignment with the reputation that you want to carry, it finally clicks. It's not about pretending to be somebody that you're not. It's not about showing up in the world because you want people to perceive you as someone different from what you are. It's literally about strategic alignment. It's ensuring that however it is that you choose to show up is in alignment with who you are as a person. And that process of that alignment is personal branding, so that your personal brand reflects exactly who you are. And those are some of the things that we're going to be talking about. What actually is included in your personal brand? If your personal brand is who you are, what are the things that you need to consider when you are thinking about building your personal brand? When you're thinking about strategically aligning who you are with how you're showing up so that whatever reputation you have out there, whatever perceptions you're creating out there are actually in alignment with the message that you want to carry. Before I get into some of the elements that you need to think about, I just want to tell y'all and emphasize again the power of actually building a personal brand that is in alignment with who you are. There's a tendency for people to think that personal branding or having a personal brand is about faking it until you make it. It is absolutely not. It is about you understanding authentically who you are based on your mission, based on your vision, based on your values. You want to make sure that the reputation that others carry about who you are is actually in alignment with that which you perceive of yourself and that which you want to show first about who you are. That way, when people think about you, they think exactly what you want them to think. That is your personal brand. And this is powerful because it creates opportunities for you. It is powerful because you're able to connect with people authentically. It is powerful because however it is that you're showing up is coming from an intentional space and a desire to live in truth and in alignment. I love working with my clients when it comes to personal branding because it's so important for us as women leaders in particular to really ensure that we are living in alignment with who we are. And to ensure that however it is that we're showing up in spaces through our leadership, through our impact, is actually who we really are. Because of patriarchy, there's a tendency for us as women to want to perform. And sometimes in that performance, we are not conscious of the consequences and the reputation that we're building about ourselves because we think we're performing power. Because we think we're performing influence. And before we know it, the reputation that people have of us is not actually the reputation that we want to have for ourselves. But that's because we're spending so much time performing without understanding when and why we're performing and how to actually challenge those performances so that we're showing up as authentically as possible. It doesn't mean that in life you're not going to have to perform or wear a mask because of the spaces that you're going into. I talk a lot about that in my leadership development coaching. Sometimes you have to, but you have to be conscious of it. And most importantly, you have to ensure that the consistency of your truth and of your authenticity as a person is what is showing up more than your performance. Meaning that even if you have to perform, it is your authenticity that is showing up more than your performance. Your performance cannot and should not become your personal brand. And unfortunately, that is what sometimes happens. Our performance becomes who we are. And as such, people begin to perceive us through the lens of our performance and not really through the lens of who we are as women leaders. So I am here to help you challenge that by helping you understand what is personal branding, how you can build a personal brand that is in alignment with who you are, therefore taking control of the reputation and the perception that others have of you as a person, as a leader, as an executive. Like I shared earlier, I've never had to work in a job that I had to apply for because I've had people carry my name in rooms where I was not. And that's because the reputation that I leave behind is something that people are so clear about that they're able to carry it. People have to be clear about what you stand for. That is the power of personal branding. It is the clarity that you communicate about who you are that people can carry into the rooms where you are not. But you got to make sure that your messaging is clear. You got to make sure that the things that matter the most to who you are, based on what you're looking to achieve, those things are actually clear. So that when people go out there talking about you, discussing your possibilities, your potential, your career, your profession, they're actually discussing the right message because that message is coming from you through the lens of intentionality. You understand what that message is. Therefore, they're carrying that message along because that's the message that you want them to carry. So if we use me as an example, the message that I want people to carry about me stands in my commitment to encourage, to build, to motivate women leaders fundamentally. And then people secondary. So if I use myself as an example, the message that I want people to carry about me is that I encourage, build, motivate women leaders. That is the core of my purpose. That I arm women leaders with the tools, knowledge, and resources that they need to become the best of who they are, to become the most amazing leaders and executives. And I do that through intellectuality and through my energy. My ability to be able to connect with people and stand as a people's people, as a girl's girl. That is the message that is 100% connected to my personal brand. And it has to be something that people can pick up on as soon as they meet you. Now, in the context of building your personal brand and understanding what are the elements that make up your personal brand, I want to go ahead and leave you with the different elements that you must consider when it comes to building your personal brand. Now, if your personal brand is who you are, what are the key elements that you need to consider? One of the things that I explain to clients and students all the time is that your personal brand identity is the first thing that you must consider when you are going to build an effective personal brand. Now, in your personal brand identity, which is who you are as a person, here are the elements that you must consider. Number one, your story. Your story and your experiences are a critical part of your personal brand because your personal brand must authentically represent who you are as a person. So what are the aspects of your story that you want to share with other people? What are the aspects of your story that drive your work forward? I say to my students all the time that for me, my personal brand is so integral to my story because as a child of immigrant parents from Malawi, I understand very much that I have a great responsibility to carry through my service to humanity. My parents gave up so much for me to show up in the world as who I am. Therefore, the least that I can do is live in alignment with my purpose, with my mission, to ensure that I am using what I have been given to positively impact the world around me, and especially to work with the women that I know that I was sent to work with so that they can live the best of who they are. So my story starts from my childhood as a child of immigrant parents from Malawi. And that is what energizes me. That is what I carry with me. And in the days when I feel discouraged or I feel empty, I remember where I'm coming from and the sacrifices that have been made to ensure that I get to do this on a daily basis. So your story is a critical part of your personal brand. Another element that you must critically consider is your purpose, your vision, and your mission as a person. What are you here to do? Because your work is just an expression of who you are. Your business is just an expression of who you are. Your projects are just expressions of who you are, of your mission, of your vision, of your purpose. Therefore, becoming clear about your purpose, your mission, your vision is super, super, super important in your personal brand, because it allows you to say yes to the right kind of opportunities and no to the kinds of opportunities that actually do not align. The other thing that you must consider is your strengths. What are your strengths as a person? And then what is your most dominant strength? What is your superpower? You have to understand that so that when you're showing up in your personal brand, you're utilizing that which you already carry within you as a person. You got to know your strengths. You got to know your most dominant strength, which is your superpower. Another critical aspect of your personal brand is your values. Your values make who you are as a person, and as such, you must know what they are, and you must ensure that they stay alive in your personal brand. These elements together, your story, your purpose, vision, mission, your strengths, your most dominant strength and superpower, your values. These are what make up your personal brand identity. And it is your personal brand identity that you must then, through the personal branding process, begin to strategically align and communicate to those that you want to actually know about your personal brand. To those that you want to know about your personal brand and be influenced by it. It's so important that you are clear about your personal brand identity so that when you are strategically positioning your personal brand, it is in alignment with who you are authentically. That authenticity is so important because the kinds of personal brands that last are the kinds of personal brands that are authentic. And you want to make sure that in your strategy, in your positionality, that you are as aligned and that you are as authentic as possible so that the people who are actually perceiving your personal brand have the right reputation about who you are. Now, before I round up, I want to go ahead and just address a couple of myths that a lot of us have about personal branding, because a lot of us think that personal branding is not for everybody, when I want to say it's actually for everyone, because like I said earlier, everybody has a personal brand because everybody has a reputation. Therefore, you want to go ahead and challenge some of these myths within yourself if you're actually going to build a personal brand that is authentic and one that lasts and one that is in alignment with who you are. The first myth, personal branding is for influencers. It is absolutely not. Personal branding is for everyone. It's for educators. It is for professionals. It is for entrepreneurs. It's for people engaged in traditional careers. It is for executives. It is for people in entry-level positions. It is for people who are managers. Building a personal brand is for everyone. The second myth, personal branding is simply about self-promotion. No, it is not. I encourage self-promotion, especially in women, because we do not promote ourselves enough. But truly, personal branding is about clarity. And it's about ensuring that the messaging that people have about who you are is in alignment with who you are as a person. So yes, it does include strategic self-promotion, but that is not a bad thing at all, because if people are going to get to know you for who you are and truly for the message that you have to carry, you got to make sure that you're intentional and strategic about it. So yes, promote yourself. Do it with clarity and do it through the lens of authenticity so that whatever it is that you are sharing about who you are is in alignment with who you are as a person. The third myth is that personal branding is only online. That is absolutely not true, because your personal brand is both online as well as offline. And truth be told, your offline reputation can sometimes even matter more than your online reputation, because you want to make sure that people who experience you in real life experience the same version of you when you are online. There has to be that alignment there. So personal branding is not only online, it is also your intentionality in showing up in alignment with who you are when you are offline. And most importantly, consistency in who you are offline as well as online. The final myth that I want to address is that your brand is what you post. Not necessarily, because your content is the evidence of your brand. Your brand is a reputation. It is a perception that others have of you through what you are posting consistently, through how you are showing up in real life consistently. So let me go ahead and ask you this. If someone was to introduce you in 10 seconds, what would they say about you? Better yet, why don't you go ahead and ask people in your community, your friends, your family, your colleagues, how they would introduce you in 10 seconds, and see if what they have to say about you is in alignment with what you might believe is your personal brand, the message that you're looking to leave with other people. I would love to hear from you in the comments as to whether there is an alignment between what you think you are and how you are showing up online as well as offline. I want to say thank you so much for staying with me as we delved into the topic of personal branding through our traditional leadership framework. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel on whatever platform that you are listening to this podcast on. In the next episode, I'm going to be talking about the personal branding process, so you want to make sure that you stay tuned in. And of course, I am available if you are looking for someone to walk with you in your personal branding journey. We have such an exciting program that we call our Executive Brand Management, where we help you clarify your personal brand and also work with you as you begin to intentionally build your reputation and shape the perception that others have of you through the lens of who you really are as a woman leader, as an executive. So let us know, because we are here to serve you. Thank you again for tuning in. You have been listening to More with Dr. Elly.